Y'all are gonna work in groups of two, so Aaron, you're gonna come back with me. Chris.
Oh my gosh. God, you got touch. Alright, not gonna do this evening.
This is an excerpt from the first chapter of Great Gatsby, which we've been reading. And basically I want y'all to just read about it and talk with each other for a couple of minutes about what things or what differences in language, and like just talk about how he uses language in this passage. And then we'll come together in just a few minutes. Questions?
I mean, the first sentence, I think, I'm good, but I'll let you know.
You noticing anything? It's very different. Yeah, good. Just read this recently. Oh my gosh, you just
A lot of big words and.
Making a lot of connections.
Yes. Okay, so Mary Chris, you just said that he's making a lot of connections between things. Could you give me an example of that?
Well, he says, okay, then there was something gorgeous about him, some heightened sensitivity to the promises of life, as if he were related to one of those intricate machines that register earthquakes 10,000 miles away.
Good. Does anyone else notice any comparisons in the rest of the passage? What about when he's describing the eggs in the second paragraph? They are not perfect ovals like the egg in the Columbus story. They are both crushed and flat at the contact end.
All of these things help you with visualizing.
That's really good. Okay, so those two things that we just pointed out are both examples of a comparison. And so there are two types of comparisons that exist. Does anybody know what they are? The first one is called a simile.
Metaphor.
Good. So, a simile is a comparison of two unlike things using like or as to connect them. So, when Mary Chris said, as if he were related to one of those intricate machines, that relates Gatsby to the machine. And then the other one that I read was about the egg. Like the egg in the Columbus story, they're both crushed and flat. And then, does anyone think they might know what a metaphor is if a simile uses like or as?
Is it anything that doesn't use like or as?
It is. And sometimes a metaphor can reach over like a larger, like it can start from the beginning and extend all the way through to the end of a text. It doesn't have to just be in one sentence. There's one other type of language that I want to talk about today. And is there anything, do y'all notice anything that he writes about, how do I phrase this? An inanimate object having qualities that are human-like.
Is that personification?
It is personification. Do you think you could find an example of that?
Maybe the first sentence of the last paragraph.
And what about that is personified?
Well, it says he lived at the West Egg, which is the less fashionable of the two, and it's giving like fashion to a city.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
cities can't really have fashion.
Good. Connor?
Their resemblance must be a source of perpetual confusion to the gulls that fly overhead.
Gulls obviously cannot fly, so that's good.
When it says, with the tower on one side spanking new under a thin beard of not ivy.
Good. Is ivy a beard? No. And then there was one other one that I really liked. What foul dust floated in the wake of his dreams. Obviously, dust can't really float around in our dreams. So good. Y'all, Mary Chris, you kind of touched on this earlier, but why do you think it's important for us to use this type of language in our writing? Anybody can answer?
Well, I feel like the more descriptive the writing, the better, and this is a descriptive way that also helps you visualize what's happening, what's being portrayed.
Good. Anything else? Good. Well, Mary Chris, you are right. Using descriptive language and different elements like simile, metaphor, personification, it helps make a text more accessible, and like we can then create a visual image in our mind of what is actually happening in the text. So now I'm going to give you guys an assignment to do for homework on each of these types of things, and basically you're going to come up with your own examples of it, and then we'll discuss them tomorrow.